My wife's best friend was dead. In the middle of the night, her husband called my wife, saying his stove was broken and he couldn't make dinner. I went with her. When he opened the door, he was wearing nothing but a bathrobe. I grabbed my wife's arm to turn and leave, but she just stared, angrily shaking my hand off. He just asked me to help. Can you stop thinking the worst of people? Right? Suddenly, I was the bad guy. One was Valentine's Day, which was also our wedding anniversary. I watched Chloe bustling around, looking rushed. I was a little surprised, but kept my tone gentle. Let's catch a movie first, then dinner. What are you in the mood for? How about that new Italian place? A troubled look crossed Chloe's face, her eyes darting nervously. What's wrong? Chloe bit her lip. Ethan just called. He said Mia wants to go to the amusement park today. They're having some kind of special event, and he's worried he can't keep an eye on her by himself. I sighed, putting my phone down on the table. Can't he ask his parents for help? Or a friend? Why does it have to be you? A familiar frustration simmered in my gut. This had been going on for a year. Chloe's brow furrowed in exasperation. Ethan's parents are too old. They don't have the energy. And it's Valentine's Day tomorrow. All his friends have their own plans. They have dates. And you know it's Valentine's Day? Everyone else has plans, but you don't? My words made her face go pale with anger. Her voice rose. Alex, why are you arguing with me about a child? What does she even know about Valentine's Day? But her father does. My face hardened. I turned to leave. Ethan was doing this on purpose. Every single time there was an important date on the calendar, he would use his daughter, Mia, as an excuse to call Chloe away. And Mia was no angel, either. At only 5 years old, she looked adorable, but her eyes held a sly, calculating glint. Seeing me walk away, Chloe panicked. She stepped in front of me, her voice thick with grievance. Alex, please don't fight with me about this, okay? I can't help it. You know Mia called me herself. The poor girl. She lost her mom so young. I promise this is the last time. Okay, my husband will understand, won't he? I was speechless. Chloe's fatal flaw was being a pushover, pathologically incapable of saying no to anyone. And so, on Valentine's Day, my wife went to spend it with someone else. They had a great time. They saw the movie I wanted to see and ate at the restaurant I wanted to try. Meanwhile, I was stuck at home eating instant ramen and watching some boring anime. The whole day felt surreal and unsettling. By evening, I still hadn't heard from Chloe, so I called her. Where are you? Honey, I'm heading home soon. Just give me a little while. What did you have for dinner? I glanced at the empty ramen cup. Before I could answer, I heard Ethan's voice in the background. Chloe, could you watch Mia for a sec? I'm going to grab her some ice cream. This little munchkin is getting chubbier by the day, but she's still got such a sweet tooth. Then Mia's voice piped up. I'm mad at Daddy. Mommy, can you hold me? That one word, Mommy, made my head explode. Before I could demand an explanation, Chloe hurriedly hung up. I tilted my head, staring at my phone, a bitter mix of emotions churning inside me. Furious, I called back again and again, but Chloe didn't pick up. A long time later, my phone rang. It was Chloe's number, but Ethan was on the line. Hey, Alex, what's up? Where's Chloe? Put her on the phone. As if he couldn't detect the ice in my voice, he continued in that same mild tone. Chloe's with Mia on the carousel. She left her phone with me, so she can't answer. Was there something you needed, man? I can tell her for you in a bit. Excuse me. The conversation gave me a bizarre sense of role reversal. It was as if he were Chloe's husband, and I was just some casual acquaintance. Ethan kept going. Don't worry, man. We're having a great time. I can send you a few pictures if you want. It's Valentine's Day. We're having a really romantic evening. I hung up before he could finish. Romantic? How romantic for your perfect little family. This version of Ethan felt like a complete stranger. His wife, Sarah, had been Chloe's best friend. 2 years ago, Sarah died of sudden illness. That day, Chloe had invited her to play tennis. Sarah had a massive heart attack on the court, and they couldn't save her. The event plunged Chloe into a deep well of guilt. If I hadn't asked her to play tennis, she'd still be with us, she would say, withering away for months. It hurt me to see her like that. So when Ethan called the first time, a month after Sarah's death, saying his stove was broken and he couldn't cook for Mia, I agreed Chloe should go. That was the first time. True to his word, Ethan sent me a dozen photos. There were pictures of Chloe holding Mia, of Chloe feeding Mia. In every shot, Chloe wore a gentle expression, her eyes filled with adoration and pity for the little girl. But it was the last photo that sent me into a rage. Ethan and Chloe stood on either side of Mia, who was holding each of their hands. All three of them had blissful smiles on their faces. There wasn't a trace of anything awkward about it. They looked like a perfect family of three. No wonder Mia was calling her mommy. My jaw twitched, and I let out a heavy, frustrated sigh. Chloe didn't get home until midnight. Her face was etched with exhaustion. She yawned and said, "Honey, I'm sorry I'm so late. Watching a kid is tiring." Mia is a little ball of energy. After the roller coaster, she wanted to do the giant slide, and she can eat so much. Ethan really spoils her. She chattered on excitedly, recounting every moment with Mia like a mother eager to brag about her daughter. I just tilted my head and watched her in silence. After a while, without a response, Chloe finally realized something was wrong. Her enthusiasm vanished, replaced by a frown. "Are you mad? Just because I didn't spend Valentine's Day with you? Are you serious?" Mia was begging me to stay with her a little longer. What was I supposed to do? I lowered my eyes. "Is there anything you want to tell me?" She was getting impatient now, changing into her pajamas to wash up. "What is it you want to ask? I have work tomorrow. I'm dead tired." My expression was thunderous. "Chloe, why is Mia calling you mommy?" Chloe froze. A flicker of embarrassment crossed her face. She pursed her lips and said, "Mia misses her mom. She asked if she could just call me mommy for one day." Tell me, how was I supposed to say no to that? No explanation, no apology, no guilt. She threw the problem back at me, just like she had so many times before. We ended the night on bad terms. She kicked me out of the bedroom. It was Valentine's Day. Her day had been romantic. Her night was full of anger. She was not happy. 7 when Sarah was alive, she doted on Ethan. She brought him tea, did his laundry, even washed his back. After they had their daughter, Sarah was taking care of 2 people at once. The strain on her heart became too much. Of course, Ethan had the looks to justify it. He was tall, handsome, and had a gentle personality. Sarah was deeply in love with him. She had also spoiled him into a man who was completely incapable of taking care of himself. After Sarah died, Ethan didn't know how to pay the utility bills. Chloe taught him, but he just said, "It's still so hard." Chloe sighed in resignation. "Fine, I'll pay them for you from now on." Ethan didn't know how to cook. One time, he nearly burned down his kitchen. Chloe had to drop her work and rush over, giving him the lunch I had packed for her. I asked her, frustrated, "Can't Ethan just order from DoorDash?" Chloe bit her lip. "We get to eat good food every day. What's wrong with giving them one of our meals?" I stared at her, my face cold, thinking about the lunch I'd made, the special ingredient being my love for her. 8 when Mia's preschool had a parent-teacher conference, Chloe insisted on going. I stopped her. "And you're going as who, exactly?" Her eyes darted around. "All the other kids have their moms there. I'm worried Mia will feel left out." Unbelievable. One time, Chloe and I were in the middle of a passionate moment when the phone rang. It was Ethan. "Mia has a fever. What should I do? Should I take her to the hospital?" Without a second thought, Chloe threw on her clothes and left, leaving me alone and utterly exasperated. Ethan didn't know how to take care of a sick child, so Chloe had to be on call 24/7. It was as if they were the family, and I was just the unwanted outsider. I knew Chloe was trying to compensate for her guilt over Sarah, but the way she was doing it was making me more and more miserable. I was getting tired. I had suggested having our own child many times, but she always refused, citing her busy work schedule. Yet she had more than enough time to look after Mia, enough time for us to have had a child of our own by now. The next day, Chloe went to work. I decided I needed to talk to her, so I went to her office building and said hello to her assistant. The assistant froze when she saw me. She looked flustered, even stuttering a little, which I found odd. When I pushed open the door to Chloe's office, I finally understood why. Did she think I was here to break up a happy couple? There was Ethan, shoes off, curled up in Chloe's executive office chair, playing a game on his phone. Around his neck was the cute, meme-themed neck pillow I had given Chloe. On her desk was a half-eaten box of gourmet donuts. How did I feel? Not so much surprised as disgusted. The young assistant blushed. I just waved my hand for her to leave. Without looking up, Ethan said, "Oh, hey, Alex. Make yourself comfortable. Don't mind me. Want a donut?" Chloe got them for me. She was afraid I'd get hungry. Of course, I didn't have one. The thought made me sick. Seeing Ethan's messy hair on the pillow I gave my wife made my stomach turn even more. Chloe must have gotten a message from her assistant, because she hurried back. She looked flustered when she saw me, then forced an awkward smile. "Honey, what are you doing here?" "I wanted to talk." "I didn't realize Ethan would be here." "Lounging in your chair, on the pillow I gave you, eating the donuts I like." Chloe's face soured. "Ethan's been in a bad mood lately. With Mia starting preschool, he doesn't have much to do, so he wanted to hang out here for a bit." "Can you not be so petty?" Ethan stood up, smiling. "Hey man, sorry. Didn't mean to make you jealous. I'll get going." But Chloe grabbed his arm. "Why would you leave? Mia doesn't get out of school for a while. We're going to pick her up together." Her explanation was weak, as if she were deliberately trying to provoke me. I shook my head and said softly, "Today he wants to sit in your chair. Tomorrow he'll want to hang out at our house. The day after that, he'll want to lie in our bed. You know what? I'll just give you the bed." Chloe's face went white with fury. She pointed a finger at me, shouting, "What are you talking about? Apologize to me, right now. What is wrong with you?" I looked at Ethan's smug, smirking face and threw a punch. He crumpled to the floor, a glint of triumph in his eyes, his scheme successful. I clenched my fists, my voice cold. "Chloe, you either kick Ethan out of our lives, or I kick you out of mine. You choose. I have my limits." Chloe was stunned. She rushed to kneel by Ethan, checking if he was hurt. Then she looked up at me, defiant and wronged. "Alex, do you hear yourself? Sarah is gone, and she died because of me. I'm just trying to help her family. Can't you be a little more generous? There is nothing going on between me and Ethan. Can you please stop making a scene?" I looked at her in despair. Was she really this clueless, or was she just pretending? I couldn't tell anymore. Suddenly, the room started to spin. A sharp pain shot through my abdomen. I've been having this symptom ever since Chloe started going to Ethan's place so frequently. Seeing the pained look on my face, Chloe said coldly, "You always pretend to be sick when we fight. Can you stop with the childish games? You know what? I have nothing to say to you. We're going to pick up Mia." Then the two of them left the office. As he walked out, Ethan turned and gave me a victorious smirk. It was time for a divorce. I was done with this. That night, Chloe came home very late. She hugged me tightly, burying her face in my neck, and said with a rare gentleness, "Honey, I was wrong. Please don't be mad. I'll change. I can't live without you." Chloe promised me she would get Ethan out of our lives. But just as the words left her mouth, her phone rang. It was Ethan again, saying his stove was broken and he couldn't cook for Mia. I shrugged, looking at Chloe's exasperated face. Gritting her teeth, she promised this would be the absolute last time. Then she took me with her to Ethan's apartment. Ethan opened the door quickly. He was only wearing a bathrobe. He seemed completely at ease, as if this was how he always greeted Chloe. He looked awkward when he saw me, offering a sheepish grin. Chloe froze, her eyes avoiding mine. She looked panicked, her mouth twitching as if she was trying to find an explanation. "Honey, I grabbed her hand and started walking away. "How many times?" I asked. "What do you mean? How many times has he stood in front of you dressed like that?" Chloe fell silent, but she insisted, "I was just here to help. Can you please calm down? Nothing happened between us." "All right. So I was the one with the dirty mind." "Chloe, I want a divorce." Her eyes widened in disbelief. "What did you just say? On what grounds do you want to divorce me? A man and a woman with no sense of boundaries. You want to stick around and wait for the New Year's countdown." I kicked the door, sending Ethan stumbling back into his apartment. From inside, Mia started crying. "Why did you hit my daddy?" "Mommy, that man is a bad guy. He hit your husband." Chloe froze, stunned by the titles Mia had just used. I shrugged and gave a bitter laugh. "Well, it looks like you three are the real family here. Fine, I'll go. You stay with your husband." Chloe didn't go inside in the end, but she did call building maintenance for him. Something so simple, yet they had managed to turn it into a 3-act drama. We drove home in silence. Chloe tried to talk to me several times, but seeing my clenched jaw, she would open her mouth and then close it. "Alex, I don't. The man in that apartment is your husband. Mia is your daughter. I'm the outsider." Chloe's eyes welled up with tears. She probably never imagined things would get this bad. I felt a wave of resignation. Once boundaries are crossed, it becomes a habit, and eventually it becomes the new reality. We were childhood sweethearts. From dating to marriage, we had been together for 7 years. While Chloe focused on building her career, I worked hard to support her from behind the scenes. When she said she wasn't ready for kids, I backed her completely, defending her decision even when both our parents pressured us relentlessly. But the Chloe I saw lately was someone I didn't recognize. I had given her my all, so much so that I had ignored the warning signs from my own body. Tonight, I couldn't ignore it anymore. In the middle of the night, a searing pain ripped through my stomach. I broke out in a cold sweat. Chloe's eyes flew open. She frantically helped me sit up and was about to call 911 when her phone buzzed with a text. She glanced at it, and her urgency shifted. "Alex, just hang on. I'll be right back. The power's out and Mia's building, and she's terrified and crying. Ethan can't calm her down. I have to go see what's going on." "Chloe, take me to the hospital," I gasped. The pain was excruciating, and I was soaked in sweat. But Chloe pushed me back onto the bed. "Alex, can you please not be so dramatic?" she said, already walking away. "Mia is Sarah's only child in this world. Do you really have to compete with her for attention?" With that, she left without a backward glance. She didn't see how pale my face was. She didn't hear my groans of pain. My consciousness started to fade. In my last moments of clarity, I managed to call my neighbor. The next thing I remember is being loaded into an ambulance, and then the hospital. When I woke up, Chloe was by my side, her face pale and her eyes red and swollen. The doctor spoke softly next to me. "There was a tumor on your liver. It hemorrhaged last night. If you'd been brought in any later, it could have been fatal. But don't worry now. It's benign. We just need to remove it." Chloe's lips trembled. She gripped my hand, sobbing, "Honey, why didn't you get this checked out sooner?" "Alex, don't be scared. I'll be right here with you." I coldly pulled my hand away. "Chloe, let's get a divorce." She collapsed on my bed, wailing, "Alex, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I didn't know it was that serious last night. Honey, I'm begging you. Please give me another chance. Chloe, a divorce." She still refused. I didn't go home, staying in the hospital to await surgery. Chloe, for her part, took care of me with a newfound attentiveness. My surgery was scheduled for the next week. The divorce would have to wait until after I recovered. It was only during these days that I learned Chloe actually knew how to cook. She would make meals at home and bring them to me, fussing over me in a way I'd never seen before. In all our years of marriage, I had never let her cook, wanting to spare her the trouble after her long work days. When did she learn? And who was the first person she cooked for? I already knew the answer. Chloe swore she wouldn't have anything to do with Ethan and Mia anymore. She said she wanted to be with me forever. But all I could think about was the upcoming surgery. The feelings I had for her were gone. One day, while Chloe was at work, Ethan showed up in my hospital room. He stared at my abdomen and said, "Even after the surgery, you'll never be fully healthy again." I frowned, unsure where he was going with this. "Man, you should just let Chloe go. Let me take care of her from now on. She's already fallen in love with me. We're together now." I quietly turned on my phone's voice recorder. I felt a mix of heartbreak and weary resignation. If I could stand up right now, I'd punch you again. And you should be saying this to Chloe. I've already asked for a divorce, but she's the one who won't agree. If you two are really together, then she's cheating, and I can sue for divorce. Do you have any proof? Ethan thought for a moment. Next time I'll take some pictures for you." My heart felt like it was being crushed. Chloe insisted they were innocent, but Ethan had just admitted everything. A week later, on the day of my surgery, Chloe didn't show up. When the doctor called her, her voice sounded flustered. "I'm so sorry, I overslept. I'm on my way now." Before the call ended, I clearly heard Mia's voice in the background. "Mommy, time to wake up? Daddy made you breakfast." Chloe hung up. The doctor's expression was strange. I sighed. I knew then that Chloe had moved in with Ethan. I picked up the surgical consent form and signed my name. Then I picked up the divorce papers I'd had prepared. My hand was shaking so much I could barely hold the pen. Just then, my phone lit up. Ethan had sent the photos. Pictures of Chloe sleeping. In his bed, there were photos of her alone, photos of the two of them together, and one of all three of them sleeping in the same bed. What a happy family. My head felt like it was splitting open. A sharp pain shot through my abdomen, and I coughed up a mouthful of blood. As the doctors and nurses wheeled me into the operating room, I signed the divorce papers with a trembling hand. Goodbye, Chloe. I don't know how much time had passed when I woke up again. The first thing I saw was Chloe's exhausted, hollow-eyed face. She was holding my phone, staring into space. A doctor was speaking in an agitated voice. We told you before, do not let the patient get emotional before the surgery. You wouldn't listen. He almost died on the table. I don't care what kind of family problems you have, but he is a patient. Can you please respect this surgery? Respect the patient's will to live. Chloe remained numb, her fingers curling so tightly it looked like she wanted to crush the phone. As I came to, the staff bustled around me. Chloe tried to take my hand, but I pulled away. I gave a weak, bitter smile. Sorry to disappoint you. I didn't die. Sorry to be a bother. Chloe's lips trembled. She wanted to touch my face, but seemed frozen in place. My throat was raw. I licked my dry lips and said softly, "Did you see the divorce papers? Sign them. I'm bowing out. I'll let you two be together. You can't refuse this time, can you? I have the recordings, the photos. I have all the evidence I need." Chloe shook her head, clutching my phone. Her pale face was devoid of all color. "No, Alex, I'm not signing. It's all fake. Ethan faked all of it. Don't believe him." I shook my head and looked at the busy doctors. Then I turned back to Chloe. "Even if I weren't sick, we would have ended up here. Do you know why?" Tears streamed down her face. My voice was hoarse as I continued. "Back then, you hadn't crossed a fundamental line. You weren't actively pursuing anything with him. You felt sorry for him, sure, but at its core, it was about helping someone. I still understood you then." Chloe looked up, clearly agreeing with me. But my next words made her face change. "And that was the beginning of the end. You would have kept taking care of Mia and Ethan. Even if we had our own kids later, you would have still taken care of them. Because in your heart, you'd think, my child has a mother, but Ethan's child doesn't." Chloe was stunned. Once that initial sliver of guilt faded, everything else became an obligation. Just as she slowly wore away at our love, chipping away at my patience time and time again. She looked wounded, angry, and begged me to give her another chance. "Alex, I really know I was wrong. I love you. Please forgive me. I'm begging you. I'll never contact them again." I shook my head. "We were together for so many years. You love me. You know you were wrong. I know all of that. But we can't go back. It hurts here," I said, pointing to my heart. Chloe stared at me, her eyes filled with a complex mix of emotions. After a long moment, she finally agreed to the divorce. But her gaze was stubborn as she said, "Alex, I'll agree to the divorce. But I never did anything to betray you. I will find out the truth. I will give you an explanation." Then she broke down completely, sobbing with regret, saying she had almost let me die, that she couldn't live without me. I laughed wryly. Chloe couldn't live without me, just like Ethan couldn't live without Chloe. The world really does go in circles. After calming down, Chloe started muttering about how manipulative Ethan was, how Mia was a piece of work, and how she would make them pay. I listened in a daze, not sure what she was talking about. Seeing that I was stable, Chloe left in a hurry. I didn't know where she was going. In my hazy state, I saw Ethan appear. He smiled at me. "Hey man, congrats on the successful surgery. You're going through with the divorce, right?" I just tilted my head and stared at him. This man was something else. His wife dies, and his first move is to destroy someone else's family. What was his end game? Because Chloe was young and beautiful, because she ran a successful company. Right now, all I wanted was to recover. I didn't have the energy to deal with him. I waved a dismissive hand. "I've signed the papers, and Chloe has agreed. Now I need you to disappear." Ethan nodded seriously and left. I slept for what felt like days. When I woke up, Chloe was slumped over my bed, crying silently. She quickly produced a new set of divorce papers. I looked them over. Unlike the first set, this one signed over the house, the car, and all of her company's shares to me. I looked at her, confused. Chloe's eyes were resolute. She clenched her fist and said, "Alex, we've been together for so long. People might think you were just mooching off me, but I know the truth. I couldn't have built all this without your help. Since you've misunderstood me so terribly, it's even more important that I give you everything." Seeing her uncharacteristically stubborn expression and worn down by her pleading, I finally signed. From that day on, we were done. I spent a month in the hospital recovering. When I finally went home, all of Chloe's things were gone, including our wedding photos. Even if she hadn't taken them, I would have thrown them out. I sighed, listed the house for sale online, traded in my car, and started my new life. I needed to erase every trace of Chloe from my world. There were moments of deep sadness during this process. After all, she was the woman I had been with since high school. But the hardest part was dealing with our parents. We had divorced quietly, and by the time they found out, it was already a done deal. My parents and her parents all called me. They either yelled at me for being immature or at Chloe for losing her mind. They were all devastated. I didn't tell them about my surgery. I just explained the conflicts between Chloe and me, but I left out the part about her and Ethan. It seemed like the most decent thing to do. But Ethan didn't care about decency. He sent the photos to Chloe's parents. They were utterly devastated. Ethan told them that either Chloe married him or he would make the whole affair public. Chloe's parents were so distraught they nearly ended up in the hospital. But none of that was my problem anymore. Later, I heard that Chloe and Ethan were officially dating. The rumors started to fly. Some said Chloe was a shameless homewrecker who had only gotten close to Mia to get to Ethan. Others said Ethan was a master manipulator who had targeted Chloe ever since his wife died. Some even envied Ethan for landing a young, beautiful, and successful woman like Chloe. They didn't know that Chloe had given all her company shares to me. She was working for me now. What I found strange was that Chloe's parents called me often. They told me that even though Chloe was dating Ethan, she was still living at their house, not with him. I had no idea what Chloe was up to, and frankly, it wasn't my business. One day, an enraged Ethan called me. He had found out that Chloe had left our marriage with nothing, that the money, the car, the house, and the company shares were all mine. He couldn't accept it. Why did you take everything? After Chloe and I get married, all of that stuff will be mine. I just laughed coldly. Chloe gave it to me willingly. If you got a problem, take it up with her. Ethan was practically hyperventilating with rage. What kind of man are you? My voice was flat. While I still consider you a human being, I'd advise you not to push your luck. Once I'm fully recovered, I'll be happy to show you what kind of man I am. You better not leave town, kid. He hung up. Chloe didn't contact me at all during this time, but I had the strange feeling that she was watching me from afar. Bored and needing a change of scenery, I went to a quiet beach town by myself to rest and heal. 6 months later, a news story broke online. Ethan had been arrested on suspicion of negligent homicide. I froze. Ethan killed someone. Who? I scrolled down and my jaw dropped. Ethan had intentionally abandoned Mia in a forest. She got lost, and after being missing for 7 days, her body was discovered in a river by some locals. The police had found his search history on his phone. Keywords like how to abandon a child and distance from forest to city. In the end, Ethan confessed. After his wife Sarah died, he saw Mia as a burden. He had also lost a lot of money in bad investments and couldn't afford to raise her. He had hoped some villagers would find and adopt her. He never thought she would actually die. I suddenly pictured Mia's innocent, smiling face, but my feelings about the death of this manipulative little girl were complicated. She would call Chloe mommy when I was on the phone. She would constantly find reasons for Chloe to come over and take care of Ethan. She would even conveniently retreat to her room when Chloe came over, giving them space. She was a child who had learned far too much from her father, an expert at pleasing Chloe and reading Ethan's intentions. That girl was no simple child. I sighed and turned off my phone. When I finally returned to my new apartment, I found a surprising visitor. Chloe. She looked like she had been traveling, but her spirits seemed high. She was tidying up my place, and there was a pot of soup simmering on the stove. You're back. Go wash up. Dinner's almost ready. I just stood there, stunned. Chloe pushed me toward the bathroom, pouting. I came straight here from the airport. Humor me, okay? My health was improving. I've been exercising moderately and felt like I was getting back to my old self. Chloe ladled a bowl of soup for me, her expression full of sympathy. Alex, I'm sorry I couldn't be here to take care of you. I'll explain everything in a minute. We talked as we ate, catching up on work and our parents. When the conversation turned to Ethan, I frowned, sensing a deep complexity to the story. The first thing she said left me speechless. Ethan killed Sarah. I started coughing, and Chloe quickly patted my back. She sighed. Sarah had a weak heart since she was a child, but it was manageable. After she married Ethan, the daily stress and chores put a heavy strain on her. After Mia was born, taking care of both of them made her condition much worse. I listened, dumbfounded, as Chloe laid out the story. Ethan's manipulative scheme was deeper than I could have ever imagined. After marrying Sarah, Ethan met us. He envied me for having a wife like Chloe, successful, financially independent, beautiful, and, most importantly, kind. So he secretly devised a plan to make Sarah's illness fatal, which would then allow him to use Chloe's guilt to get close to her. In Sarah's final days, Ethan was constantly putting stimulants in her water and encouraging her to play tennis with Chloe almost every day. Finally, on that last day, Sarah's heart gave out. She died right in front of Chloe. I frowned as I listened to Chloe's account, then interrupted her. "How do you know all this?" Chloe hesitated for a moment before answering. "Alex, you probably heard that Ethan and I were dating. It was all a sham. I was never really with him. I only got close to him to find evidence. I was suspicious from the very beginning. Then he tried to drive a wedge between us time and time again, and finally he staged those photos. All of it made me angry and even more suspicious." Chloe explained that during their relationship, they never lived together, but Ethan was happy, thinking he was winning her over. He let his guard down. In his house, Chloe found the stimulants and got Mia to admit that Ethan had given Sarah the same medicine. Then, on Ethan's computer, she found the final piece of the puzzle: search histories for various drugs, information on heart conditions, and the effects of strenuous activities like tennis. Chloe was horrified. She wanted to go to the police, but Sarah was long gone, and this circumstantial evidence wasn't enough to convict Ethan. So Chloe confronted him directly. She showed him the photos he'd sent me and threatened to report him for sexual assault if he didn't tell her the truth. But Ethan was smug. He glanced up at a security camera in his bedroom and said, "Chloe, it's all fake. That night, I had Mia lure you over, and I put something in your drink. After you passed out, I took those pictures. I recorded the whole thing on this camera, just in case you tried to accuse me later. I never even touched you. Chloe, I really do like you. You should marry me. Your husband is constantly suspicious of you. He doesn't love you. I just used a few little tricks for the sake of love, and he went crazy. Imagine how terrifying it would be to spend the rest of your life with someone like that." Ethan showed her the surveillance footage. Chloe watched every second carefully. She saw herself stumble and collapse onto the bed, unconscious. It was Mia who came in to take off her shoes and change her clothes. Then Ethan came in and took the photos. He was telling the truth, but Chloe was still consumed with hatred. If it weren't for those photos Ethan sent, I wouldn't have coughed up blood. I wouldn't have almost died on the operating table. Chloe was filled with regret for ever getting involved with that family. She hated Ethan, and she hated Mia, so she pretended to forgive Ethan and agreed to marry him in 6 months. But then Ethan found out that Chloe was now broke. She had transferred all her assets to me. He threw tantrums, demanding that Chloe get her property back. Chloe refused. Instead, she started ignoring both him and Mia. She also helped Sarah's parents sue for and win half of Sarah's estate. Ethan panicked. His good looks were all he had going for him. He was useless otherwise. He brought Mia to Chloe, begging for her help. Chloe just smiled faintly. She gave him a tip, pointing him toward a particular investment fund. For the first few days, he made money. But 2 weeks later, the fund collapsed, and he was completely wiped out. Ethan was stunned. We tried to use Mia to get to Chloe again. He couldn't find her. She wouldn't answer his calls or reply to his texts. Ethan threatened to post the photos online if she didn't show herself. Through a mutual friend, Chloe replied, "Go ahead. I'm already divorced anyway." With nothing left, Ethan resorted to the extreme. He abandoned Mia, and she died in the wilderness. Sarah's only legacy was gone, and so Ethan was arrested, destined for a long prison sentence. From the vengeful look on Chloe's face, it seemed she had no intention of letting him off the hook, even in prison. When she finished her story, Chloe knelt before me, clutching my legs and sobbing. "Alex, I was wrong. I was so wrong. I had no boundaries. I just wanted to help Sarah, to help raise her child. I never imagined Ethan could be so evil, or that Mia could be so manipulative." I looked down at Chloe, listening to her cries, and it felt like I was transported back to that terrible time. Chloe did love me, that I had no doubt, but her kindness, her weakness, had nearly led her down a ruinous path. She was consumed with regret. crying that her only intention had been to make up for what happened to Sarah. She felt like every single decision she made was a mistake. Sarah's death from a heart attack wasn't technically her fault. After Sarah died, what happened to her family was none of Chloe's business. But that damnable sympathy and guilt nearly destroyed her. From the first time she went to Ethan's house at night, to the first time she cooked for him, to the first time she let Mia call her mommy, to the first time she prioritized him over me, she was slowly becoming Ethan's prey, nearly unable to escape. If I hadn't gotten sick, she might never have found her way back. Chloe continued to weep. I have no money, no house, no company. My parents resent me. I have no home. Alex, please have pity on me. Let me stay. I've been so tired. I love you. I can't live without you. I pulled her to her feet and sighed. Chloe, people make a lot of mistakes in their lives. Some can be forgiven. Others become lifelong regrets. Chloe froze, thinking I was about to reject her again. She quickly stood up and wrapped her arms around me, holding on for dear life. I leaned in and whispered in her ear, "Tell me exactly how Mia died, and I'll forgive you." Chloe's body trembled. In a voice as soft as a whisper, she answered, "After Ethan went bankrupt, we met one last time. I only said one thing to him." "What did you say?" "I only like my own children."